Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to this webinar as part of Career Discovery Week brought to you by Grad Ireland. Today we're going to be discussing the Lidl Graduate Programme to help give students and graduates an insight into what it's like and if this programme could be the right one for them. And who better to tell us the ins and outs than three recent graduates who are currently part of the 2019-20 programme. So today I'm delighted to welcome Emma Nolan, John Maher and Lucy Burns. So hello everyone.
Hi. Hiya.
So we'll try and, corral all the three of you and keep this orderly as much as we can. So we'll start off with nice and easy question to start with. So Emma, just starting with you. Can you tell me a bit about your background in college, what you studied, where, and then how you came across the Lidl Graduate Programme, please?
Yeah, so I studied psychology out in DCU, and we had placements as part of the programme, as part of my college programme. And I realized psychology probably in the traditional sense wasn't for me. And what I was really interested in was our modules on working in psychology and organizational psychology. So I started to look at kind of the business application of that, which is HR. And that's how I ended up really researching graduate programs in HR. And I came across the Lidl Graduate Programme in due course. And it really appealed to me just as a program that values its graduates. Obviously, there's a lot of information about it on our own website, but also on Grad Ireland's website as well. I decided to apply, and here I am, nearly 2 years later.
It's interesting as well that, just because of you study a particular subject doesn't mean you're down one narrow path, which I think a lot of kind of students and graduates think, like you're able to still access a load of graduate programs. So Lucy, yourself, can you have a bit about your background, please?
Yeah, so I actually studied general science in college and I did it in Maynooth University. And I was the same as Emma. I kind of realised soon into my degree, is this actually the one for me? So I had a part-time job at the time in retail, and I think that's where I kind of got the taste for the retail environment and thought maybe a graduate programme is the route I want to take, after my degree's finished. So then I moved to Dubai actually. And that was kind of just, I wanted to do a bit of traveling. And then while I was out in Dubai, I applied through, I think an ad came up on Facebook, but I already knew of the Lidl Graduate Programme. Like I think it is one of the most well-known ones without me being biased. So an ad came up on Facebook and I just thought, I'll apply, see how far I get. And then, same as Emma, here I am today, loving life. So
you've ended up both in the same place, but two completely different journeys. So John, yourself, did your journey take you through Dubai or any other interesting places?
It didn't take me to Dubai, not quite as far. I actually studied sports science for my undergrad in London at a university called St. Mary's. But I kind of realized early on that I wanted to work in the grocery industry, the food business industry. So I specialized in a master's in food business strategy and commercial business skills, and then onto the Lidl Graduate Programme.
Okay, brilliant. And sticking with yourself, John, obviously I think, as a graduate, you research different programs to try and figure out what's right for you. So why did you decide Lidl? Why did you think that was a good fit for yourself?
Well, like I said, I knew I wanted to work in the grocery industry. And in terms of training and in terms of reputation, Lidl had probably the best graduate program for the industry that I wanted to get into. So I had attended many of the different grad fairs, and at one of these fairs, I got talking to one of the Lidl representatives, and it ticked so many boxes for me. So Lidl Graduate Programme was the number one that I wanted to get onto, and lucky enough, I was accepted.
Okay, brilliant. And Lucy, yourself?
So I wanted to work in retail. Like even on my part-time job, like I just loved the hustle and bustle of the retail life and, interacting with customers. And I wanted to work for a company that, holds customers at the heart of everything they do. So I kind of researched Lidl and it kind of fitted the bill for me. And then, through like Grad Ireland coming around to college and stuff, like they were able to give me the information that I needed to see that it suited me perfectly. And then not going to lie, like along with everything, like the company perks are amazing. Like you get handed a phone, a laptop and a car. So like, why wouldn't you go for Lidl? Do you know what I mean?
I can see why they asked you to be on the call, Lucy. And Emma, yourself, why was Lidl right for you? I think we've heard a bit about, it is a very, very well-known program. It's marketed very well. They talk to students, which I think is key. But for you, why did you want to apply?
Well, for me personally, I'm a very ambitious person, and I know that in some cases graduate roles, not necessarily graduate programs, but graduate roles, that you can kind of get lost. It's an entry-level role. I was looking for something that would drive my career forward from the outset. Lidl does have that reputation. I'm not unaware of it. I don't think any of us are unaware of it, of driving its people and working them hard, and they do. But as Lucy said, we get compensated for that, not only in the traditional sense, but also in the development aspects of it as well. Like, we all have director mentors, which are people at the very top of our business that we get personally introduced to on during our first week. My director mentor, for example, is director of operations. He's someone that I'm in touch with that I can learn from right from the outset. That was something that really appealed to me about the graduate program.
That's great. I think what's really interesting there is that I think you could just tell just this brief intro that you got 3 different personalities and you're all looking for something different for a program, but Lidl was able to give the 3 of you each what you wanted, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah,
so just sticking with yourself, can you talk to me a bit about the application process, kind of how you found it, and if you were to go back and do it again, would there be any advice you would give yourself?
Yeah, so like many of the other graduate programs, Lidl starts off online. You have to apply with your CV and answer a number of questions. You do have to meet a number of criteria as well. Like, for example, one we get asked about all the time is your full driver's license, and it's totally necessary for the role. There's no way you could do this graduate program without a driver's license. But you go through that, and then you get sent on your verbal reasoning, numerical, and situational judgment tests, which you do online. And then if you're successful, then you get called for interview. And I think that's where the process diverges depending on what stream you're doing. So for me personally, I went in, it was a 1-on-2 interview. I met with 2 heads of department in HR. We had an interview in the traditional sense, but then also I got to present, which I really enjoyed because it brought part of my particular interest in HR into the interview. But looking back on it now, I think my advice for any graduate is when you're doing those tests online, like, that's really all the company gets to see of you before they meet you in person. So take them really seriously and give yourself the best opportunity. You know, take it like it's an exam, find a quiet room, let people know you don't want to be disturbed. And that's giving yourself the best chance to get in front of people in the business and get to give them one-on-one with you and get to sell yourself in an interview.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice, actually, because a lot of people might think, oh, it'll be fine. Once I get to sit down one-on-one with someone, they'll see my personality. But you have to get to that stage. So it's important to, work hard and show your best self before you get, to sit one-on-one with someone. And Lucy, yourself, I think Emily did a good job there taking us through the application process. But from a personal point of view, how did you find it?
Well, my application process was a little bit different to Emma's. So again, I had to do the competency-based questions, but then I actually got invited to a whole interview day. So it was like, I think it started at 9 in the morning, finished at 5 at night, and it's like you get through different rounds. So the first round I did was like a team building exercise, and it just wants to see how you're working as a team. Are you a team player, and what part do you play in that team? If you get through that round, then you've got to do the presentation, which they give you a topic beforehand and it's pre-prepared, and then the final thing's the interview itself. I find the day, looking back, you get this weird like adrenaline rush, and like it's really, really enjoyable. At the time it is terrifying, and it's like something out of the Hunger Games, like people are getting knocked out left, right and center, but it was really great. Like, it was very enjoyable. What I would say is, prepare for the competency-based questions. Like, there's so many things online, like practice tests you can do that are for free. Make sure you do them, but also, like, don't be afraid to be yourself. Like, Lidl really embrace people from all walks of life, all different personalities, quiet, loud, whatever. Like, if you are the ideal candidate, they'll take you regardless. So be yourself, and then know your CV inside out. Like, that's really, really important because, they grill you on everything. So just make sure you're really well prepared is what I'd say.
Yeah, I think, mentioning the CV specifically is a really, 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 really good piece of advice. And John, yourself, can you take us through your kind of application process?
It was very similar to Emma's. So I had the online application, and then I had the reasoning, the numerical tests, and then I had an interview in head office with the procurement executive and one of the senior project managers. I was given kind of a role play to try and be in a procurement situation where you have to negotiate with suppliers and things like that. So it was about an hour and a half, the whole interview process. And like that, I think it's kind of similar to what the girls were saying. Put plenty of time towards the application. When you're coming to the point where you're starting to go to these fairs, it's kind of easy to leave it towards the end of when the deadlines are. If I could give any piece of advice, I'd make sure that you start that application early, because the more time you actually put into it, the better the application is going to be. In terms of Lidl, I'd say research the company, have a look at the social media pages. Don't just know how many employees Lidl has. Try and find something interesting about the company, that if you do get into an interview situation, that you can reference that. And that's something that I did, and I think they were impressed that I showed a bit more of an understanding towards the company.
Yeah, I think like 3 really, really good pieces of advice there. And John, you said there about researching something specific. Everyone will research, when was Lidl founded, how many stores it has, employees.
Exactly, yeah.
Look for something different. You want to make yourself stand out. And it sounds like, talking to the 3 of you, it was an intense process. But I think if you thrive and get through the other end, it kind of shows you're ready for that program. This is what it's going to be like. So obviously, you all have different roles within the program. So if we swing it back to you, Lucy, can you talk to me a bit about your title and what a kind of typical day or week would look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm the sales org grad, so sales organization graduate, and basically what they kind of hone in on is like store operations. So every single thing in the store, we're analysing like why you do it. Is it efficient enough? Can it be made easier for the store staff, or is it working as well as it should be? So throughout this graduate program, there's different movements. So when you first start as a sales or grad, you start in store. So that was for 4 months for me, and that's where I learned every single thing. And that's where I would say to any person coming into the business, you need to embrace the store training that you're given, because that's all you can refer to when you're sitting in an office cozy at a computer. So 4 months of store training. Then I moved on to SOM shadowing. So an SOM is a sales operations manager. So that's similar to like an area manager. And I was shadowing one of those for 11 weeks. Then I am currently in my 3rd phase. So at the minute we are project managers in head office, at home. And then my next stint is to go back into store, which I'm actually looking forward to, and understand why you must go back into store again, because the first time when you're in store, that's more to get the basic understanding. Now that I have that, it's more to develop and see, do I have an eye for change, and do I know what's working and, what's not.
Okay, brilliant. And Emma, yourself, can you talk a little bit about your role?
Yeah, so mine is slightly different to Lucy's, but Lidl as a company really values operations. Obviously, we're an operations-based business, and we don't run without our stores. So I also started out in store. I did 4 months. I was trained from customer assistant all the way up then to store manager. And I went out for 3 weeks with an SOM, so our area managers. And we also then did a week's logistics training as well in our warehouse to get an understanding of how our warehouses work. And then in early February, I headed back to head office, and I started my rotation with the learning and development team within the HR department. So just working on, it was actually very exciting. Like, I got to work on a big event we held at the beginning of March that brought together all of our store managers from all across the country. And it was talking about the outlook for the next 5 years and what the plan is from a store perspective. And at the moment now, I'm moving into my recruitment rotation. So looking at the recruitment aspect of things. So slightly different to Lucy's, but again, loads of change. There isn't really a typical week in Lidl. You get to, get a taste for everything, which is why I really love this program. Okay,
brilliant. And John, can you take us through your role?
So similar to all the other grads, we all do our 4 months at the very beginning. Like that, working with customer assistants, packing shelves, working on tills. I was doing night packs. You learn absolutely everything, which is, again, one of my favorite elements of the graduate program, in that you have massive exposure to so many different elements of the business, that when you go back into head office, then you're in a much more informed decision when you're making decisions that can have massive implications on store. And for me, when being back in procurement, I'm responsible for a project that we've rolled out the previous 2 years, but we're into the 3rd phase of it now. It's called Get Fresh, which is it's like a layout change and introducing more chillers and etc. into stores. And this is actually the biggest cost that we have as a business. So I've been given responsibility very early on, which is, again, is something that I absolutely love about this graduate program. That's everything up until this point.
That's brilliant. I think it sounds like, you're given a lot of responsibility, the three of you very early on, which I think is brilliant, which maybe a lot of other graduate programs give you. Maybe it's kind of, you're treated with kid gloves a little bit, whereas this, you're going to throw it at the deep end and you seem to be thriving. I think, John, it's interesting you picked up there as well that, you work on the ground floor in the shops when you start. And I think that gives you a good appreciation. And then when you if you do progress throughout the company, when you're giving advice to people who are in that position, at least they can look at you and say, you've done this. So you're coming from a point of view where they can completely see where you're coming from.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to get back a little to the application process. So once that was all done and you started the program, was it everything you expected or was it a bit more challenging? Can you take me with that? John, sticking with you.
I think you can only have your expectations of something are obviously, there's only so much of an expectation you can have until you actually get into it and get involved in it. So I would say that the main expectations I had of the Lidl Graduate Programme was that the training was going to be top notch, was that you would get quite a bit of exposure and see different elements of the business. And for me, all those boxes have been ticked. I haven't been left disappointed by a single thing on this graduate programme. And I think my friends and family are absolutely sick of me to death now at this point, singing the praises of the Lidl Graduate Programme and how much I'm actually enjoying the programme thus far. That's
great. I think it's important as well, John, to hear people like you who are in the program speaking about how great it is, and because I think for students and graduates, it can be tiring for them to listen to people who are kind of maybe higher up on the chain talk about how fantastic it is. But to hear people who are, experiencing it at the minute to hear about it is great. And Lucy, just the same question directed at yourself.
I don't think it's what I expected, and I mean that in a good way. I don't really know what I expected. I knew everyone would say to me, like, Lidl's tough, Lidl, you'll be put through your paces, and I can't lie, you definitely are, especially in the store operations training. As John said, like, you're doing crazy hours. Like, I was up at 4:00 every morning, like, cancel your gym membership because you will do 30,000 steps a day, so it's a waste of money. Like, it's crazy the pace that the stores work at. So in that regard, no, I didn't know it would be that much work. Now that I'm in head office and I'm project manager, like, I actually genuinely cannot believe the freedom you're given when you're doing a project. Like, everything is on your shoulders. If it's successful, you're amazing. If it's bad, you're to blame. Like, every decision is yours to make. And Lidl, like, really embraces us learning and making those decisions for ourselves and not relying on, anyone else. So in a good way, it's not what I expected. And there's always people there to give you advice and a hand if you need it. You never ever feel like you're alone, which is also amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's important to pick up on, like, if something isn't what you expect it to be, that's okay. I mean, don't kind of freak out straight away. Maybe think, oh, this is what I thought it was. I can leave, stick it out because it could be right for you. Yourself, was everything you thought it was going to be?
Yes and no. I think I'm somewhere in the middle between Lucy and John. As Lucy said, the store placement it's so tough. I would never sugarcoat it. What they do on the shop floor is incredible, and how they make the stores run. But equally, from a HR perspective, like, my whole role is about people and the people that work for our company. And if I hadn't done that placement, I'd have no appreciation for what it's like on the shop floor at all. Because you can't appreciate it until you've done it yourself. So while it was tough, I really understand why they get us out there. And again, the length of the placement is reflective of how much value they see in us as grads. You're on the graduate development program to, in their eyes, one day become a leader in Lidl, where we're looking to hire the most ambitious grads out there, and that's why they put us through our paces, because obviously the higher up you go, the more important it is that you understand what's on the shop floor. But now that I've come back to head office, I have a real deep appreciation for that side of things. So in that sense, no, it wasn't what I was expecting. But then equally, yes, it is a program that really values us as graduates and values our development, and that I was expecting. So I'm really glad to say, like, they've come through on that aspect of it.
That's great. Brilliant. So we spent a lot of time kind of looking back on the process of how you got to this point, but looking a bit ahead to the future, and Emma, we'll stick with you for this. What are you most looking forward to in the future? Are there any particular projects or anything?
At the moment, I'm most looking forward to seeing people again. Obviously, this is been a very strange time. I don't think any of us, when we came in September, imagined that this is how our graduate program was going to go. Actually, in fact, all of the grads, we went away together in February. We're really close, and I really love that team aspect of it as well. And I think even in February when we were away, we had no idea that this was how the rest of our graduate program was going to go. But equally in that side, I'm looking forward to continuing my rotations, to getting to work with some of the other teams. Employment law in particular is an area that I have a real interest in. And we're looking at kind of health and well-being at this time in particular. So that's something that I'm looking forward to in the future.
Okay, brilliant. I think we're all looking forward to seeing some other, human beings as well, aside from the ones who live on our eyes very soon. But what about yourself, Lucy? What are you most looking forward to?
So I'm currently rolling out a project to stores nationally. So that's coming up. So I can't wait to see the impact that has and just see, did my hard work pay off? So that's exciting. But apart from that, my next rotation after doing more store work is SOM shadowing again. And I loved area managing. I loved going into stores and being part of a team, giving good and bad feedback, areas for improvement, and just boosting the morale of stores. So I really can't wait to go back on the road as an SOM again.
Brilliant, fantastic. And John?
I think similar to what Lucy was saying, the project now that I've been working on the last couple of months is going to be implemented hopefully in the next couple of months, depending on COVID. But a lot of the work that I'm doing now is in preparation for that. And I'm really excited to see how that project develops and see the implications of it on the business. I also would be really excited. It's quite a busy time working for a company like Lidl with the crisis, and I'm actually quite excited with everything that's going on over the next couple of months in retail. It's a very dynamic and fast-paced industry to be in at the moment. So for numerous different things, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think we did very well. We got to 20 minutes, I think, without mentioning the pandemic, which is good going for most conversations at this point in time. So just as, we start to come towards the end of this, John, sticking with yourself, if you had to give advice to your younger self while you were in college in your final year, kind of looking towards applying for graduate programs and preparing for yourself, I know we talked about advice specific to applications, but more general terms, what advice would you give your younger self?
I think it's really important to do something that excites you. I think it's really important to do something that, obviously it can be difficult to know that when you're in college, you might think that something might excite you and you think you might be interested in something until you actually get into it. That might be the case. But for me, for the last number of years, I knew I wanted to work in retail. I knew I wanted to work for a company like Lidl. And for me, getting up in the morning, I'm excited to go into work. I'm excited to see what the day holds. So I think that's a massive part of the when you're deciding what type of things you're applying for, what you want to do with your career. Do something that excites you. Do something that you're interested in.
Brilliant, yeah. Really, really good piece of advice. I think do something that excites you. Emma, what advice would you have for your younger self?
Yeah, I think it's quite similar to John's piece in that, like, I love my job and I love going into work I loved going into work, but I love waking up and turning the laptop on in the morning. And I think that that's a real privilege. Not an awful lot of people get to say that. And I think that that's a real shame. And I think part of the reason why I am able to say that now is because I did quite a lot of work experience during my college years. So I went out and I did internships, I did placements, I had part-time jobs, and all of those things helped me to make an informed choice when I was choosing a graduate program. I think sometimes people sort of get a little bit like panicky in fourth year, and or final year, and that's totally understandable. But really, this is the first step of your career. So making an informed decision is really important. And I felt confident choosing Lidl at the time because I knew that was where I wanted to be, because I had that work experience and I knew that this is where my interests lay. So that would be a piece of advice: get out there and get as much work experience as you possibly can during your college years.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice, Emma. I think, a lot of people in college will do retail jobs and maybe kind of see it more as a means to an end. But it's important that you can pick up skills there and, you could work in retail and love it. And that can help you decide, what you want to do for your future. So last word to you, Lucy. What are you most looking for?
I'd kind of just second what the lads are saying here. So I'd say do your research on the grad program that you think best suits you. Like, applying for online applications is absolutely exhausting, like especially like mentally, you know. So like just pick a few, or you know, pick the one that you truly want and give it your all when you're applying for that, and put all your personality into it. And then Emma gave great advice there, like definitely get yourself a part-time job if you can, if you have the time in college in that sector. So if you see yourself in grocers, go to a grocer's, apply for a job. If you see yourself, you know, in a clothes shop, go to that clothes shop, apply for a job, like so that you can get a true feeling of what it's like to work here. What are the ethics of the company? Do they match my personality? And then just go for it. Give it your all in the application then. That's
brilliant. I think it's a really, really good note to finish on, a positive one. So look, everyone, thank you so much for your time. We really, really do appreciate it. It's a great piece of advice there. And we'll all see you on the other end. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.